I noticed something a bit strange whilst reviewing the latest flagships. Look, we aren't paying for new features anymore. We're paying for the illusion of progress. To be honest, the excitement of the unboxing has just vanished. It's been replaced by this cynical realization that those shiny titanium rails and the slightly rounder corners, they're just distractions. We're being sold a dream of infinite advancement, whilst the actual utility of our devices has, quite literally, plateaued. I remember when a new smartphone launch felt like a genuine leap, right? You went from a plastic brick to a glass slab, from a pixelated mess to a retina display. It was transformative. But today, I look at the spec sheets and I see a very different story. You see, we're witnessing the era of the 1% upgrade. A slightly brighter screen that you can only actually see under direct Saharan sunlight. A processor that is technically faster in a synthetic benchmark, but feels identical when you're just scrolling through your emails or checking Slack. It's a brilliant piece of theater, really. The tech giants have hit the ceiling of what physics and current battery chemistry allow, if their shareholders demand a new peak every 12 months. So, they pivot. They stop selling you utility and start selling you the feeling of being current. Think about it. Why did the industry suddenly decide that titanium was the must-have material? Look, it wasn't because your phone was constantly snapping in half. It was because titanium sounds premium. It sounds like progress. It makes your perfectly functional 2-year-old aluminum device feel like a dusty relic from a bygone era. This is what I call the psychological obsolescence trap. And as working professionals, we are the primary targets. We value efficiency. We value having the best tools for the job. And the industry preys on that. They use words like pro and ultra to make us feel that if we aren't holding the latest slab of glass, we're somehow less productive. But have you noticed that the actual experience of using these things hasn't changed in, half a decade? We're running the same apps at the same speeds for the same tasks. I've spent...
For a decade, we enjoyed these exponential leaps in performance. We were playing in a sandbox with plenty of room to grow. But physics? Physics is a cruel mistress, and she's finally calling time. You see, the marketing departments love to scream about 3-nanometer architecture, as if it's some sort of divine revelation. In reality, it's just a desperate attempt to delay the inevitable. It's the silicon ceiling. Think of your smartphone as a high-density apartment block. For years, we've been making the furniture smaller to fit more people in. But now, the walls are literally touching. We're at a point where the transistors are so small that we're fighting against quantum tunneling, where electrons simply jump where they're not supposed to go. Look, you simply can't cram more transistors into a glass sandwich without it becoming a pocket-sized furnace. When you push these chips to their advertised limits, they generate heat that a device without a fan simply cannot dissipate. You aren't getting a revolution. You're getting a device that has to throttle its own brain just to keep from melting in your hand. And then there are the cameras. I'm sure you've seen the ads boasting about 100 megapixels or more. That sounds brilliant on paper. Whilst in practice, it's often a hollow metric. Here's the optical reality. A tiny sensor can only capture a finite amount of light. The laws of physics do not care about a Silicon Valley marketing budget. Beyond a certain point, more pixels on a tiny sensor just create more noise and less clarity. Smartphone manufacturers have spent the last few years using aggressive software and AI to mask these physical limitations. They're essentially using digital makeup to cover up the fact that the hardware has hit a hard ceiling. Whilst the photos look punchy on a 5-inch screen, they lack the true depth and data of a real lens. We've reached the point where we aren't even taking photos anymore. We're asking an algorithm to generate a pleasing image based on what it thinks the world should look like. We've traded optical truth for a
Warning. This is the ecosystem trap. I have watched as the smartphone has transitioned from being a tool you own to a gateway you rent. We are witnessing the servicification of hardware. To the giants in Silicon Valley, your phone is no longer the product. It is just a very expensive dongle. It's a physical key that grants you access to their real business model: recurring revenue. I am talking about cloud storage, music subscriptions, and premium AI tiers. Look, they are not selling you a better device anymore. They are selling you a lifestyle that you can never quite finish paying for. It is a brilliant strategy for shareholder dividends, but for us, it is daunting. It means our digital autonomy is being eroded, one software update at a time. Your phone is not dying because the glass is cracked or the battery is spent. It is dying because a line of code in a server farm halfway across the world decided your 3-year-old flagship is no longer worthy of the full experience. It is a quiet, calculated erosion of value, one that ensures the upgrade cycle never actually ends, even when the innovation does. But if you think a locked software feature is the end of the story, there is a much deeper level to this game, and it involves the one thing you can never get back. The one thing you can never get back is your time. And, well, quite frankly, your hard-earned cash. So is that $1,000 upgrade actually worth it? My verdict is a resounding no. Look, I believe we have entered the maintenance era of mobile technology. It is a phase where the giants of Silicon Valley are no longer inventing the future. They are merely managing the decline of a saturated market. I would argue that the most pro move you can make right now is to quite literally break the cycle. I want you to realize that your current slab, the one you're holding, is likely more than enough for the world we live in. We have reached a point of diminishing returns